into left 4, narrows 30. Acute hairpin right 4 over crest, cut into flat right 80. Bumpy flat left 200. Caution, hard brake left 2, opens and tightens into left 3. Into
Hello viewers, and welcome to this first look at WRC 10, a series I'm a big fan of, and I've been looking forward to this one for some time. It's a series that's improved rapidly over the past few years as well, and even though it's an annual franchise, there have been huge changes to it every year in terms of physics, graphics, stage design and various other elements that make up the single player game. So you know, again, excitement. We've seen a bit of a clip of the Spanish, on the new Spanish stages, and here we see a bit of Croatia as well. Excellent new rally stages. We're going to look at those in more depth in just a moment, but it's great to see all the time how the stages have developed, the graphical improvements, but also the physics changes that have come in as well. Now the menus and the scale of this game, when you look at life, solo, multiplayer, I mean there's so much to discover, and you've got improvements, personal improvements in terms of how you drive, test area, you know, challenges, training. You know, you've got the various range now of a career mode, but also the classic rallies are in there as well. We'll have a very brief look at those in just a moment. Loads to explore. Classic rallies for classic cars, and they even change the dynamics and feel of those rallies in terms of the crowd and everything else. It really gives it a bit more atmosphere. Graphics obviously have improved across the board, as they do every year. Lots of improvements to textures, lighting and general feel. Car models are looking better than ever, and I was just having a little marvel here. I like to look at a good old LOD, viewers, in terms of looking at the models of the rally cars. And again, Lancia Delta there, car I have particular passion for. So we know of over 20 classic rally cars. This forms part of the 50th anniversary of the WRC in 2022, and I think we can look forward to definitely more on the way. This is an exciting time for rally fans, as literally, you know, Kiloton are pushing the boat out to make this game as good as it can be. So there's always already a decent selection of classic rally, more to come. Looking forward to sharing some of that as well. I did jump into a couple of these classic historic rallies to see what they were like. I'm going to make a separate video about these because they deserve a video in themselves, but you'll see the banners, the crowds, you have people standing in you know, comparatively dangerous positions in terms of where they are, and you know, that kind of thing. It's definitely a different vibe that it gives to the rally, and trying to aim for what a classic rally is all about. So the stage is rugged, as I'm in the Alpine here. I call it an Alpine, and it's rugged. I mentioned last year in WRC 9 they improved the handling on the classic cars. You know, that doesn't mean they handled necessarily well, but they felt natural in what they were doing. A lot of work still got into it again to make them even more fluid, to improve the weight transfer. So, you know, and again, I just wanted to have a look at a stage that we know. So we looked at Acropolis very briefly there. We're going to come back to that another time on another video, very soon in fact. And we're also going to take a look at Monte Carlo, a stage you all know very well. And again, this is all in development, I will point out, so everything you see in this video is very early. Lancia Delta going down the mountain, and you'll see, you know, large crowds, you'll see parked cars in different places. We'll talk a little bit about this for a moment. So there are some minor graphical bits and pieces still being worked on, but it's all coming along nicely. So you'll see more in the way of people. You'll see, if you know the game well, you'll see all-round graphical improvements to textures, lighting, you know, and this is running on a GTX 1080. Further down there, rock textures in the various tunnels, and you'll see crowds here as well. There we go. I'll just slow it down, slow motion, so you have crowds, and you have some of those more and more on some stages, parked cars, obstacles in unusual places that you want to avoid. It gives you that kind of wall-to-roll moment. Not so much the crowd sort of splitting in front of you, but the dream is there in terms of you know, having that experience. So I was playing it and sort of living my rally dreams. And then on board through the town there, you have the old people clapping. And you know, these new rallies, we're going to look at all, we're just looking at little clips right now, but we'll come back to all of these in the future. They offer very different challenges, lengthy stages. The weather conditions are something we haven't explored yet. We're going to look at all of that later. My goodness, it's such a big game. I was trying to squeeze it all into one video and realized, you know, you've got to run each stage several times, different times of day, different weather conditions. It's a lot to take on board to really get to all of these different elements that are in here. Now we're seeing a little clip of San Remo here, and wow, again, beautiful locations. I mean, the locations are different to others. There's more textures, there's more detail. They're very, very narrow now, some of the new stages, but they can do that because the physics give you the precision in terms of driving that you need to take those stages effectively. So just cutting through the town here, you can see the weather conditions meant I had almost no grip on my tyres at this stage. Now a little bit here, I got hold of the Fanatic rally rim as well. I thought, you know, if I'm going to hit the rally, and I'll get to physics in a moment, I need to have a proper rally rim. So gave me the opportunity to do a very brief unboxing. There'll be a separate video for this going up anyway, so I've sped this up for the moment. Again, with your button caps and the wheel itself, I always like a good unboxing. And then we just speed that up for a moment, undo the old knot, and away we go. There it is, beautiful. So I've got hold of the WRC, official WRC rim, nice material, nice feel to it, and I'm going to discuss that all in a lot more detail on a separate video. So a bit of Croatia then to kick off. There will be some no comment gameplay videos coming up, so if you're thinking Alan's talking all the time, yes, there will be separate videos that will have no comment runs. First things first was just to get the wheel. This is a shakedown rally. So the rallies now have shakedowns, short stages as they do in real life, where they just get the car set up, get a feel for the car on the stage, get an understanding that everything's working, and away we go. So this is a shakedown for Croatia, and it was a good opportunity for me to test out the wheel and get an understanding of where I am with it, get my feeling again, brakes, set up, everything on the Fanatic, and immediately intuitive. I was immediately feeling very comfortable with it, and just loving the stage. I was loving the feeling of speed, the stage. I think I get a braking point wrong about here because I remember it there. Oh, that was painful. Lost a lot of time there, and then it really takes you out of your flow. Well, these new stages are awesome. You can tell just by looking at it already. Great action. You want to fight the car, and just trying. I'm racing my ghost, trying to get somewhere, but that mistake cost me. So there was a quick look at a shakedown. Now let's get on with the business now. Estonia, we'll have a look at one of the rallies here. Now, for this video I've put a multicam in the corner, but sometimes that gets in the way a bit, so there'll be a range of full screen as well as multicam videos coming up on the channel. If there are stages or cars or elements you'd like to see, do let me know in the comments as well. What are your concerns? So we're going to talk a bit about the handling now, and then we're going to talk about some of the different feedback we've had on various elements. Handling wise then, we've got new handling, brand new handling for dirt. It's changed considerably. If you play WRC 8 and you move to WRC 9, you find it's quite difficult going back to WRC 8. The handling moved on so much in a positive way. Again, it's moved on another major step. This doesn't handle like WRC 9. It's a big change. There's a lot more weight transfer in the car now. You need to prepare the car for the corners. The handbrake is a lot less effective when in anything but very slow in first gear. Probably more authentic, but in general the handbrake is a lot more challenging to use than it was before. Before it was always good to sort of hook the back end out even at some speed, and it was quite satisfying to use. Now it's not always so effective. It really depends as well what tyres you have on and what surface. We're on a boggy surface here. This part of the rally is the car doesn't handle well at all. So in terms of the different thick gravel and dusty gravel, it makes an even bigger difference on tyres in this version than before. So I'm having to go a lot slower. The car's quite sluggish, challenging to control. difficult under braking, so I'm braking a little bit early here because I want to get the car in, down the gears, and just slide it through, get some traction on the exits. Quite challenging with the surface changes, and then suddenly you're on a surface that suits your tyres and away you go. You're able to fly again, throw the car into corners and drift it through. You can drift now much easier, much further than ever before. I say that because I'm not a drifter, but it's very intuitive to do here. There's still work to do on some of the handling, but in terms of where they are, they're working on additional realism, and I think this will appeal to more simulation rally fans than ever before. I'm really interested to hear from you guys. By the time you watch this video, you might be playing the demo. What are you thinking about that? So a lot of changes in terms of weight transfer, positive changes on the various sections, and on the tarmac. You feel big differences with the grippy tarmac here, preparing the car, you know, again, where your braking points are, getting an idea on how to carry the car through the corner, turning up early there, uphill braking for example, and then under the arch, and this is a tricky section through here, late apex. And so I pushed early in the stage and realised, because I restarted a couple of times, I didn't know the last few corners, so I'll just cruise it through. But there are lots of lumps and bumps that can take you out. The co-driver calls are on point for me. They've been on point so far. I've not run into anything significant where I've thought those co-driver calls aren't working for me. And the gravel handling is, from what I've played so far, excellent. I've very much enjoyed it. I love these new stages. I mean, Croatia, Estonia in particular, I love these new stages. Just like I did with Finland last year, I really enjoyed the speed of Finland and the improvements that they were bringing to their stage design, and again it works well. So differences on physics to gravel, all kinds of dusty surfaces now, weight transfers changed a lot. In a moment we're going to take a look at some of the other rallies. I'm just going to talk about those as well as we just get to the end of this stage. Very rugged. I'm taking it easy here now because I know I'm near the end. I'm just thinking, let's just get to the end nice and slow. I pushed it through the first few corners and then realised I just want a cleanish run. Right, done. So there we are, that's one done. Satisfied with that, got it in the bag, and you guys can enjoy it as well. So now we're going to take a look at Monte Carlo. And again, I was mentioning about the graphics earlier, the various improvements to the older stages, which is welcome to see. But there are also very subtle corner changes that have been made. So if you're going to come to these rallies, and you've run them a lot in the previous games, there's not many, but there are odd corners that they've altered. They've added lumps and bumps. They've added, you know, various gradient changes to some elements. Just little things that mean if you're not listening to your co-driver and you're driving around as you normally do, knowing these stages, you are likely to find yourself in a difficult position at times. Now, I've noticed it on Monte Carlo. I'm not going to show you all these elements, by the way. We're going to look at those in a later video as we come across some of them. And some of them I won't know. Some of them, you know, on some stages I'm more experienced at than others. Again, on Finland, there have been some minor changes here and there. Extra lumps and bumps added. Areas where I'm having to slow down and brake that I wasn't having to before. And again, the change in handling was, wow. It takes some getting used to. There's a lot more weight in the car, so the braking distances in some cases have extended. So you've got slightly longer braking at times, depending on gradient speed. You've got, for example, on Chile, there was a corner long left-hander before the section that seemed slightly tighter as well. And you can't go into the stages and play them. I love this stage, by the way. I'm just going to say, great to see Chile back in the rally calendar, because I really enjoyed doing these stages in the past. So pleased to see them brought back again. It's always a bummer when you see a stage taken away and it's like, I really enjoyed racing that. Would love to have raced it with the ever improving graphics and physics. Good fun. Looking forward to all of that. So minor corner changes, graphical touch-ups on all the stages, though do bear in mind that what you're looking at here is still in development. It's still early code in terms of Rally Spain now. So we're just taking a look at Rally Spain, and wow, okay, so we're on tarmac now. Let's talk a bit about tarmac. The car is much more pointy on tarmac now. It's very responsive. It's very sensitive on the wheel. So it takes quite a bit of getting used to. I tend to have quite a sensitive wheel. I run with 360 degrees. That's how I like to roll. It's different for everybody. Get a setting that suits you. I like a pointy car. On tarmac, it's very pointy. It does enable precision. There are elements on WRC 9 that, for example, I preferred on some sections, but they're trying to find a balance with the new weight transfer, and you get the whole grippy scenario that you see here. So racing around Spain, doing the best I can. It's a very fast, very tricky, very committed rally now. These stages are, you know, they're very demanding, you know, in terms of the concentration required, especially listening to your co-driver. You've really got to focus on exactly what he's saying, and you've got to commit. And stage knowledge goes, as ever, a very long way to knowing when you can not only commit but prepare yourself. This was my first ever time running this stage. So with the Spanish stages, I've never run them before. This is my very first go. And I wanted to show this because, yeah, I'm tippy-toeing a bit around some of these sections because I'm thinking, where the hell am I going? But also, I think it's good for me to show the co-driver, and what the co-driver was telling me was on point. If anything, I'm overdriving the car a bit there because I'm thinking maybe I'm not quick enough for the video I'm recording. You know, there's always that demand on you whenever you record a video that you want to show the game performed as best you can, but the road is so narrow and the gradients are changing rapidly and the tyres are wearing, and all these things coming together that make sections like this very tricky. I mean, this in the rain on the wrong tyres will be a nightmare to drive, you know. And I realised, you know, after I'd run this stage, that it goes on and on and on, that section, and you just need patience with, this is a slow corner, you cannot go any quicker, and then you get back onto the open road and you can go for it again. And then at some point, once I get near to the end of the stage, I kind of consider to myself, you know, so far so good, we haven't binned it, let's just get it in the bag. So again, from a recording perspective, I like to do that. Just touching the bridge there, a bit frustrating. The car just got a little bit unbalanced, so I turned onto the bridge. I mean, it's barely much wider than the car itself. So if you want narrow stages and narrow sections, there's plenty of those in there. Tarmac handling is, I'm really keen to know what some of you guys are making of the tarmac handling in particular, as there's a motorbike revving outside, strangely. And you know, I'm really keen to know what you guys think of it. You know, there was some of you weren't as comfortable with the tarmac handling. That I very much enjoyed all the handling in WRC 9, and I can see the improvements that have been made here. Obviously very intuitive, but I'm also keen to see your impressions and your feelings on the demo. So Spanish stages are high speed, super committed, super challenging. I was actually mentally tired by this point. The stage was even more complex than I was expecting it to be, and I was just thinking, keep your head down, just keep focused on exactly what he's saying, full gamer face turned on, and that Fanatic wheel is going to get used, viewers. I'm also going to be setting up the handbrake and, you know, really working on my pedal settings to get them where I need them to be as well. But either way, I'm doing okay at the moment, given the complexity of the stage. And really, as you can see, it's just one corner after another. The corners are very similar looking, so it will take a long time to build up general knowledge of the entire stage. But either way, got through that and pleased with how it came together. And there was a sigh of relief there as well. Yes, that's done. What have we got next then? Let's take a look. So a bit of on board. Okay, so this is one of the elements that still needs improvement. Not everything's perfect. The windscreen is still an area for improvement, and I'm putting this out to the developers. Let's hope they get this done. It was too dark in previous versions to use. It's still pretty dark, but also has a reflection effect on it now that needs to be looked at. It's a shame because the bonnet cam this cam is great. I mean, when you're using it, you feel like you're in the car. There's greater detail on the dashboard. The audio note has been improved, especially in car. It's all there. We just need to take the pseudo reflection off and get rid of the darkness of the vignette or whatever you call it, and it will be much clearer. So work to do on that. Let's hope the developers can get onto that for launch and really work on improving that as well. It's just one of the key things that needs to be improved. It's top of my list. Controller handling. I haven't touched on controller handling yet because I haven't done much controller handling at this stage, but once I get the chance to do controller handling, I'll be doing that. If you guys do play with the controller, do let me know in the comments as well. It'd be nice to get your opinions and feedback on the controller handling, at least on these new stages, and a bit of footage from behind the car as well. I know many of you play from different viewpoints, so I wanted to show a bit of gameplay from a range of viewpoints. And you can see here, again, traveling around Spain, the speed and the commitment required to, and I'm not at full pace here, I'm still, again, listening to the co-driver. I don't know the stages, high commitment through these sections, and then thinking to yourself, I'm going to brake a bit more here because it's very easy to fall off these corners, and then just get into the groove of the positive camber as you work your way down the mountain and trying to use the road and the curbs to give yourself that extra grip. But until you learn the full stage, it's tricky maximising. I wasn't able to get the car in there. Again, sometimes it can be quite tricky getting the car in. Again, I do like the dash cam in terms of the feeling of being in the car, and if they can fix this, this is where I'll drive the game. I mean, I can't wait to play it more. So that's it for a quick look at WRC. No comment videos will come on the channel, so there'll be plenty of that. Do let me know your feelings in the comments. Do like and subscribe if you like the content. It supports what I do. Really appreciate that and the support on the channel. And that's it really. I'm looking forward to it. So we're not reviewing the game yet, but we can say at this stage it's looking good. It's another big step forward, and I look forward to testing more of this enormous package. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.